wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now?
Well, it's not the question that I mind, it's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter. The way you ask these questions, you start off with a man who's highly respected, asking him a horrible, insubordinate, and just a terrible question. You're terrible.
At long last, after who the hell knows how long Trump has been keistering those Einstein files.
Yeah, thank
The
you.
dam has broken. The Kraken has been released. Both the House and Senate passed a bill this afternoon to unleash the Epstein files.
Is there an objection? Without objection, so ordered.
The Senate has now passed the Epstein bill as soon as it comes over from the House.
Wow, Senate Democrats just outmaneuvered the MAGA Republicans, and they just passed the Epstein bill by unanimous consent in the Senate. Let me repeat that. The Epstein bill has now passed in the Senate, and as you know, it passed in the House of Representatives earlier. So now the next move is it will go to the president's desk essentially immediately. What we have to wait for now is MAGA Mike Johnson, the Republican Speaker of the House, to transmit the House bill to the Senate. The Senate already passed it. You saw it just there by a procedure called unanimous consent. So it automatically is deemed approved when it arrives in the Senate, and then it goes right to Donald Trump's desk. The question is, will MAGA Mike try to hold this up?
You're curious in what happens when a comic irritates a president to such an extent that is the president genuinely attempting to terminate him? I'll tell you about Donald Trump versus Jimmy Kimmel. Trump has spent years attempting to silence Kimmel, but he has consistently failed in their vicious and one-sided conflict. This isn't only humorous. Trump repeatedly loses his head over Kimmel's nightly mockery of him over this decade-long takedown. We are discussing a current president who instructed his employees to contact Disney executives to voice their displeasure with humor.
Nearly unanimous in the House. The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who's been trying to avoid this vote so desperately, he kept the House out of session for 2 months, is sticking to this is a Democrat distraction story. What you're about to see here is a man squeezing his butt cheeks together so tightly he could make the Hope Diamond out of a charcoal briquette.
Democrats are trying to use the Epstein matter as a political weapon to distract from their own party's failures. And in a desperate attempt, they're trying to somehow tie President Trump to the scandal. President Trump has nothing to do with it. He has said himself he has nothing to hide.
He said it himself. Is that not enough for you people? He's never misled us before.
Kimmel is frequently attacked on social media by the president, a man who is too thin-skinned to put up with a comedian making fun of him. The best part is that Kimmel never stops. He refuses to stop. He is not going to give up, and it makes Trump completely crazy. The 2018 censorship attempt. Trump makes an effort to muzzle Kimmel. Let's begin with 2018. Jimmy Kimmel is making fun of Trump every night on ABC while he is in the White House.
But the pressure is going to grow and grow and grow. Now, the Democrats outmaneuver the MAGA Republicans here. We heard earlier in the day that MAGA Mike Johnson was speaking with the Senate Majority Leader, John Thune, about making amendments and making changes to the Epstein bill that was passed in the House of Representatives. That was MAGA Mike and Donald Trump's plan. But the Democrats outmaneuvered them, and you saw there, Senator Chuck Schumer, the Democratic leader in the Senate, he gave the MAGA Republicans in the Senate an ultimatum. He said, I am going to put this on the floor for unanimous consent for everybody in the world to watch who's going to object to this. So at 5 p.m., he said, I'm going to go put this up. I'm giving you a deadline. It will go up. And then we saw Senator Schumer do what he said he was going to do. Then there was not a single MAGA Republican or Republican in the Senate who was willing to go up there and object to the unanimous consent. So thereby, after the procedure happened where the bill was read a few times, and then there was a request for objections, when that procedure was completed, the unanimous consent passed. and it was deemed passed in the Senate. So now we have the House vote earlier. That passed. It's now passed in the Senate. As soon as it's transmitted from MAGA Mike to the Senate, it goes to Donald Trump's desk for his signature. Let's take a look at what Donald Trump is saying right now. He just posted this moments ago. I don't care when the Senate passes the House bill, whether tonight or at some other time in the near future. I just don't want Republicans to take their eyes off all of the victories that we've had, including the great big beautiful bill, closed borders, no men and women's sports or transgender for everyone, ending DEI, stopping Biden's record-setting inflation, biggest tax and regulation cuts in history, stopping 8 wars, rebuilding our military, being respected by every country, the hottest country in the world, having trillions of dollars invested. All lies after lies after lies by him.
The jokes are nasty. Kimmel's, referring to him as President Karen, making fun of his comb over, his spray tan, and his incapacity to put a cohesive sentence together. And Trump is furious. According, Trump was furious with Rolling Stone about Kimmel's jokes that he actually instructed White House representatives to contact Disney executives who control ABC to insist that Kimmel stop talking. Allow that. Take a deep breath. The head of the United States attempted to censor a comedian since his emotions were wounded.
This, nothing to hide. He wrote Jeffrey Epstein a whole goddamn birthday letter with a drawing on it about their wonderful secrets. That, to me, sounds like something to hide. But ultimately, even Mike Johnson voted yes on releasing the files. The bill passed the House 427-1. The lone no vote came from a gentleman named Clay Higgins. He's a Republican from Louisiana. You can see this is here. You can see here trying to kill Roger Rabbit. He says he voted no on principle, as in a principle you don't want near your kid's school. Clay Higgins also voted for David Duke, the former Grand Wizard of the Klan, for governor. So he has a history of solid decision-making.
Well, Donald, the Senate has passed the Epstein bill by unanimous consent. MAGA Mike was trying to do everything to limit debate, but then the Democrats in the House outmaneuvered them there and actually allowed Republicans like Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene to speak on the Democratic side and use the Democrats' time in order to get out their messages as well. Here's what MAGA Mike said earlier about what his plan was, where he was going to call MAGA Republican Senator Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, to try to make alterations and kill the Epstein bill by making these amendments. Remember when MAGA Mike said this? Here, play this clip right here.
Like this. I called my counterpart in the Senate, Leader Thune, and I talked him through this with him and shared our deep concerns. And of course, they share those concerns as well. And so I'm very confident that when this moves forward in the process, if and when it is processed in the Senate, which there's no certainty that that will be, that they will take the time methodically to do what we have not been allowed to do in the House, to amend this discharge petition and to make sure that these protections are there. The authors of the discharge did not allow us to do that here. That's the rules here. But in the Senate, they can correct it. So under that circumstance, because of that, we know there's serious deficiencies. We know that the work of our colleagues in the Senate can address that and will. They're very conscientious and concerned, as we are, about all this. As we've insisted from the very beginning, Republicans are the only party trying to make a material difference in ensuring maximum transparency. Oh, by the way, I'll just tell you.
Then Thomas Massie, a Republican Congress member from Kentucky, he says, you better not muck with this bill. You better not muck with this bill. We had the survivors here. Don't muck with it. Here, play this clip.
Decades. That is wrong. Do not let the Senate muck this bill up. And if you're a party to that in the Senate, you are part of this cover-up that we are trying to expose. I am sorry if one of your billionaire donors is going to get embarrassed because he went to Rape Island. That is what they have coming. In fact, they need to be on the other side of bars, a lot of them. Some of them will be embarrassed, but some of them need to go to prison, and the survivors know that. So how will we know if this bill has been successful? We will know when there are men, rich men in handcuffs being perp walked to the jail. And until then, this is still a cover-up.
I am aware that at least one call was placed to Disney of nobody thought it was going to change anything, but Trump was focused on it. So we had to do something. A former Trump official told Rolling Stone. Consider how pitiful that is. Instead of managing the nation and addressing real challenges, Trump is fixated on Jimmy Kimmel's monologues. As if he were a mafia boss attempting to frighten people, he is forcing his employees to call media executives. And it was ineffective. Kimmel was not fired by Disney. His show was not canceled by ABC. Kimmel continued to ridicule Trump. Additionally, Trump maintained furious over it. Kimmel completely attacked Trump once this tale surfaced in 2023. He made fun of Trump as a delicate little snowflake who couldn't handle a joke for half of his speech.
He says his fear is that, as written, the bill could damage the reputations of innocent people, which is rich coming from a guy who once tweeted, LOL, these Haitians are wild, eating pets, voodoo, nastiest country in the Western Hemisphere. So Higgins was a no, but the Senate jumped in and voted yes by unanimous consent, which means the bill now goes to the White House, which means Trump's going to have to sign it. The goal was to have the bill passed by such a large margin that Trump can't put his little orange thumb on the scale and give it the old Cheeto veto. But make no mistake, this isn't over. He's not giving up easy. If anyone thinks he's going to release all the Epstein files, I've got a beautiful East Wing of the White House to sell you.
Then after Massey spoke, we heard from Senator Leader Thune, who says that they'll move quickly on the House-passed Epstein bill. Well, my assumption is that the president sounds like he's prepared to sign it, so I assume it'll move fairly quickly over here. Thune also says that he's aware Speaker Johnson wants some changes to the bill, but says that with 427-1 margin, changes are not likely to happen. And then Democratic Senate Leader Schumer, he made that move, put him on the spot, called out the MAGA Republican bluff in the Senate and said, who's going to object to this? Nobody objected. It's passed in the Senate. Without further ado, I want to bring in Democratic Senate Leader Chuck Schumer to talk to him about that maneuver. Senator Schumer, it seems like you moved at lightning speed after the House passed the resolution to release the Epstein files to bring this unanimous consent.
Kimmel said, you'd think the man who fathered Eric and Don Jr. would know how to handle jokes. The crowd erupted. Kimmel then went for the throat. Donald and Melania may sleep in different bedrooms for this reason. She was laughing too much at my late-night monologue. Boom. On national television, Kimmel implied that Trump's own wife believes he is a joke and that Trump's only option is to tweet in wrath. Click the subscribe button if you're enjoying this in-depth look at how Kimmel has been discrediting Trump for years. We're discussing brutal roasts spanning decades, something you won't see in the mainstream media. The president of 2017 is utterly insane. Let's go back to 2017, though, as that's when Kimmel truly began taking aim at Trump. After Charlottesville, Trump had just held a crazy news conference in August 2017 defending white nationalists, and Kimmel came out swinging. Kimmel stopped making jokes and declared that the president is totally insane. Right now, the wagon's wheels are off, and it is speeding toward the direction of the moon.
Even after an almost unanimous vote by Congress, Trump's cronies in the Department of Justice still have the power to withhold information to protect ongoing investigations, to protect innocent people, or for reasons of national security. The DOJ can withhold entire documents, photos, and or video. But they would never do anything like that, would they? They're sworn to protect the Constitution of the United States. Something's fishy. Trump rolled over faster than that dog Ghislaine Maxwell gets to play with in her country club prison.
Before the United States Senate, and no one objected to it. It seems like you called their bluff in the Senate, and now it's passed in the Senate. Can you tell us about that maneuver?
Yes, what it means is the Senate has virtually approved it. Once the House sends it over to us, it goes right to the president. No amendments, no delays, no anything. It's called deemed passing. And it means that it's passed, it's deemed to have passed even before it was sent to us. So this is very good news. Look, we told the Republicans we were going to make them block it. And they were afraid of that. They knew the power. They saw the vote in the House. They had a bunch of discussions. And I said, look, 5 o'clock is the deadline here. I'm going to the floor and asking unanimous consent to pass this, to deem passing it. You can block it if you want and do that at your peril. And they relented. So the great news is now the House has passed it, the Senate has virtually passed it, it goes to the president's desk. I was going to say we have a lot more work to do. First, who knows how long the House will try to hold it. We should put pressure on Johnson to send it right over to us. Second, the president has said he'll sign it, but who the hell knows with him? He can change his mind on a whim. But third, and maybe most important, and I just had a meeting of 10 senators to discuss this, we got to make sure we get all of the Epstein files, all. They can't fuck around with this. They can't say, oh, we'll give you this, but there are legal reasons we can't give you that. And we are going to be pursuing them relentlessly to get everything. Because I don't trust this administration. I don't trust Bondi. I don't trust Kash Patel. I don't trust the president. And they could screw around with this. It'll be all of our jobs to be on them and make sure that we get everything.
He likened Trump's news conference to biting off of Ander, Mike Tyson, Holyfield's ear twice. This was the Kimmel, the presidential equivalent of that, stated. He then spoke to Trump's followers directly. I would like to talk to those who, you are the one who supported Donald Trump. You're dissatisfied with the current state of affairs. You desired for someone to enter and give you shaking things up, but he makes a huge mistake. Each day, occasionally, 2 or 3 times a day, we are unable to keep up with it. You've been attempting to disregard it because you refuse to acknowledge these arrogant, proving to liberals that they were correct. Kimmel went on, that's the final thing you wish to do. However, the truth is that he hangs up on Australia's Prime Minister after making a call. He refuses to give Angela Merkel a handshake. He is unaware that Frederick Douglass is dead. Kimmel wasn't merely cracking jokes. It was awful how carefully he was enumerating all the ways Trump had degraded America. Trump's reaction was silence, since he had nothing to say. Kimmel was correct, and everyone was aware of it.
That's the other thing that's not getting enough attention. Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's wing woman, she had that meeting with Trump's deputy attorney general and former personal lawyer over the summer, and then coincidentally got moved right out of regular prison and into the kind of prison Felicity Huffman was in for getting her kid into college. Under the Bureau of Prisons policy, convicted sex offenders like Maxwell are not typically eligible for minimum security, but I guess 34-time convicted felons aren't typically eligible to be president of the United States either. So thanks to Trump, she now gets all these perks, including playtime with a puppy, which makes sense. She is the world's most famous living groomer. According to a whistleblower.
Kimmel mocks Trump on the largest platform in Hollywood during the 2024 Oscars. Let's fast forward until March 2024. The Oscars will be hosted by Jimmy Kimmel. Additionally, Donald Trump is criticizing Kimmel's performance in a live post on Truth Social because he can't stop watching stuff he says he detests. Is Jimmy Kimmel the worst Oscar host ever? Like a mad guy, Trump typed in all caps. He began by portraying himself as a less-than-average person who is making an excessive effort to become someone he is not and will never be. Now, most Oscar hosts would overlook this. But Kimmel chose to read Trump's message live in front of millions of viewers since he had additional time before the following prize.
And some other sources, she has a special cordoned-off area for her visitors. She gets snacks and refreshments for her guests. She gets yoga time. She gets unlimited toilet paper, computer privileges. This woman gets better accommodations than at a Courtyard Marriott. It is amazing the kind of special treatment you get when half of the most powerful people from the last 30 years don't want to see you testifying in court. The president today, he kept busy, he kept his eye on the ball, and he even addressed this situation at a live corporate event.
Everyone loves something at McDonald's. There's always something to have. I like the fish. I like it.
Mussolini likes the fish at McDonald's.
Kimmel pulled out his phone and remarked, I just got a review. He then recited Trump's whole tirade word for word, including his suggestion that George Slopanopoulos take Kimmel's place because Trump can't even spell Stephanopoulos correctly. The audience went crazy. People were laughing, gasping, and cheering because Kimmel had made Trump appear like a bitter, desperate old man who was just tweeting about the Oscars rather than actually doing anything worthwhile. This is the lovely part. Kimmel then revealed to the Hollywood Reporter that he was explicitly instructed not to read Trump's message. But he did it anyhow, since he is aware that nothing irritates Trump more than being made fun of on the biggest platforms.
Oh, wait, that was from Ronald McFondle's appearance at the McDonald's summit last night. Trump is not a happy little meal right now. Every time he gets asked about Jeffrey Epstein, he loses his mind.
Yeah, Jennifer, go ahead, go ahead.
In the files, Venezuela, sir.
Quiet, Piggy.
He called her Piggy. He said, "Quiet Piggy," to a reporter, and it barely made the news. If a man spoke like that to a female coworker in like a workplace harassment training video, you go, that's over the top. Nobody would do that. But if the pilot on Air Force One behaved like the president, he wouldn't be allowed to fly the plane.
I kind of like what Kimmel stated on Trump's assaults. All right, since I know it annoys him, and I find it quite amusing. He serves as my inspiration. Kimmel's inspiration is Trump. Kimmel can't help but make fun of Trump because he is so foolish and thin-skinned, and Trump always falls for it. The second call to action. You won't find this kind of brutal, in-depth roast stuff anywhere else. Please share and like this video. We are striving to reveal how easily Trump loses his temper over humor.
Okay, that was Friday. Today, Trump did what most people would do when faced with a scandal that could potentially end his presidency. He welcomed an evil prince to the White House. He welcomed the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, the only leader who treats reporters worse than he does, to a big, lavish dinner in his honor. Mohammed bin Salman, this is a guy who gave a green light to the brutal murder of Jamal Khashoggi, a columnist for the Washington Post, who'd been critical of bin Salman's regime, but he was dismembered with a bone saw at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. So naturally, Trump is pulling out all the stops for his trillionaire friend, who also happens to be doing business with Don Jr. and Eric.
Trump suspends Kimmel in September 2025, and it backfires catastrophically. We are now in September of 2025. This is the pinnacle of Trump's craziness about his preoccupation with Kimmel. Following Kimmel's remarks regarding Charlie Kirk's murder, Brendan Carr, the chairman of Trump's FCC, threatens ABC with regulatory action. ABC suspends Kimmel indefinitely, and major affiliates decline to broadcast the program. Trump is overjoyed. On Truth Social, he rejoices. Fantastic news for the United States. Jimmy Kimmel's Ratings Challenge show has been canceled. Congratulations to ABC for having the guts to take the necessary action at last. Kimmel has lower ratings than even Colbert and Little Talent.
President, for your family to be doing business in Saudi Arabia while you're president, is that a conflict of interest? And Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office. Why should Americans trust you? And the same to you, Mr. President.
Now, who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news.
That was Mary Bruce of ABC News doing what reporters are supposed to do.
As far as this gentleman is concerned, he's done a phenomenal job. You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. But he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
Sorry, how dare you embarrass a man who had a columnist sawed into pieces?
Trump also demanded that Seth Meyers and Jimmy Fallon be fired by NBC because he believed that all late-night hosts ought to be fired for making fun of him. However, then a lovely event took place. People retaliated. In protest, hundreds of Disney subscribers canceled their accounts. People staged protests in front of Disney's Burbank headquarters. Jimmy Fallon, Seth Meyers, Stephen Colbert, and Jon Stewart all supported Kimmel. Conservative leaders such as Mitch McConnell, Ted Cruz, and Rand Paul made a statement regarding free speech. And Disney welcomed Kimmel back after just 6 days. The largest audience Kimmel's show has ever had was present when he returned. Individuals who had never watched before tuned in to see what Kimmel would say. Additionally, Trump had a total breakdown. Trump wrote a lengthy tirade on Truth Social 1 hour prior to Kimmel's return episode.
Things happen. Things happen. This is not an episode of The Sopranos. You're the president of the... United States. The Crown Prince did address the murder. He said, we've improved our system to be sure that nothing happened like that. It's painful and it's a huge mistake, and we're doing our best that this doesn't happen again. They're doing their best to make sure it doesn't happen again. This is not what you say about a murder. This is what the manager at Jersey Mike's says when they accidentally put pepperoni on your tuna sandwich. But good for Mary Bruce. Mary Bruce didn't back down. She's like, oh, you don't like the questions about the murder? All right, then what about the Epstein files?
Why wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now?
You know, it's not the question that I mind, it's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter. The way you ask these questions, you start off with a man who's highly respected, asking him a horrible, insubordinate, and just a terrible question. You're a terrible person and a terrible reporter.
It's unbelievable that Jimmy Kimmel was given his job back by ABC's fake news. ABC informed the White House that his show had been canceled. Since his audience has vanished and his talent has never been present, something has changed between then and now. Why would they want someone who performs so horribly, lacks humor, and jeopardizes the network by playing 99% positive Democrat drivel to return? However, Trump wasn't finished. He vowed to sue ABC once more. I believe ABC will be put to the test on this. We'll see how it goes. They handed me $16 million the last time I pursued them. This one seems even more profitable. A real bunch of losers. Let Jimmy Kimmel's poor ratings fester.
Someone's not getting a Kennedy Center honor, I guess.
People are wise to your hoax, and your company, your crappy company, is one of the perpetrators. And I'll tell you something.
So why not just sign it now?
I think the license should be taken away from ABC because your news is so fake and it's so wrong. And we have a great commissioner, the chairman, who should look at that.
I don't know. The last time your FCC guy looked at that didn't go so great for you. It really...
And Trump continues to demonstrate that all of it is accurate. On live television, Jimmy Kimmel repeatedly discredited Donald Trump for years. Additionally, Trump's reaction, his compulsive attacks, his attempts at censorship, and his social media meltdowns all demonstrate that Kimmel consistently hit the mark when Trump attempted to muzzle him. Rather, he increased Kimmel's popularity. His goal was to make Kimmel look bad. Rather, he embarrassed himself, because that's what happens when a comic who won't back down faces off against a thin-skinned wannabe tyrant. Every time, the comedian prevails. Additionally, Jimmy Kimmel continues to be on the air, crack jokes, and drive Trump completely crazy. And he won't stop at any point.